Okay, in this question, we got Jolene needs five cards to complete the set. Five of those cards equals 20% of the set, and we're going to use n as the number of cards in the set. Now, if you can remember back, we got to kind of think logically here so that we can turn this into an algebra problem. We know if we had a problem like this, to say find 10% of 100, we would simply take 100, which is the number, and we are going to multiply that by the decimal here, 0.1, to get our percentage. Okay? But in this case, they've already given us the percentage. They've given us the percentage, which is 20%. And we know that we know that 20% is 5. So we know that this number here is already 5. What we don't know is this number here. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to replace that number with an n. And then we're going to multiply it by 20% in order to get our percentage, which would be 5. So what it's going to look like is it's going to look like this. We're going to have n times 20%, so 0.20 equals 5. So now what we have is we just have a basic algebra problem. So all we got to do is get n by itself. So now if we divide this side by 0.20, divide this side by 0.20, we get these cancel out. 5 divided by 0.20 is 25. Okay, so that's all we've done is we've just thought about how we logically figure out a problem, and then we just put those numbers into place, and then we just use variables to fill in the blanks. Okay, so another question here that's similar to the previous one. Balls dropped from a height that we don't know, so we're just going to use the h to represent the height that we don't know. But we do know that when it bounces up to 64% of its original height. So, and we know that that 64% is 72 centimeters. So what we're saying here is that we know that when we take a number and we multiply it by 0.64, it's going to equal 72. Okay, so if we take 100% of our original height, multiply it by 64%, it's going to give us 72. Okay, so let's take a look at that. It's just an algebra equation now. We got to get n by itself, so we divide both sides by 0.64, and we find out that our original height is 112.5. So it would be 112.5 centimeters would be our original height. Okay, moving on to some basic ratios. So you're given some chocolates: 5 cream, 2 chocolate almond, and 3 caramel. So I'm only going to give you 3 different examples here. So I'm going to do 1, 3, and 5. So basically what you got here is that the first one's asking you for a ratio of chocolate, almond to caramel, which in this case is 2 to 3. Okay, so you always, whichever one comes first becomes our term 1, and then our second one is going to be term 2. Okay, our next request though is the number of cream to the entire chocolates. So this is, the first one here was a part to part, but this next one is going to be a part to whole, because it's asking me to compare these 5 cream to the entire amount of chocolates. So we're simply going to say 5, because we know that, and then we calculate how many chocolates are there total. In this case, there's 5 plus 2 plus 3, which is 10. So our ratio in this case is 5 to 10. All right, and then our last one here is going to be, it's asking for a 3-part ratio, and it's asking for the ratio of cream to chocolate almond to caramel, which is just simply a 5 to 2 to 3, and this is considered a 3-part ratio, and this 3-part ratio is a part to part to part. Okay, it's kind of hard to do a part to part to whole, but anyway, this is a 3-part ratio. Okay. Okay, another basic question on ratios. This is Mary's clause. She has 7 t-shirts, 4 shorts, and 3 sweatshirts. First one they're asking for is the number of t-shirts to shorts, which is 7 to 4. Okay, 7 here to 4 here. All right, the next one's asking for the number of sweatshirts to the number of shorts. So it's important that we don't write it as 4 to 3, because that would be shorts to sweatshirts. You have to make sure that you're picking with the correct term 1 here, and that's what they try to do to trick me up. So it's 3 to 4 is the ratio here, because it's 3 sweatshirts to 4 shorts. And then the last one is 3 it's looking for sweatshirts to t-shirts to shorts. So just making sure that you get your terms in the right space here, and that was the whole purpose of this question. So it's 3 to 7 to 4. Okay, that will cover up to 15. Questions 16 and beyond will be in the next video.